back, Charlie's definitely.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on.
As the big man Ian Wright said there, people deluded, I'm back again. Big up you lot across YouTube and Twitch. We've got Cecil in the building. It's always a pleasure to speak football with you, bro. It's not a pleasure today for obvious reasons and the talking points around Arsenal, which we're going to get into. What you saying, my guy? That shirt's cold.
Appreciate it, yeah, man. Big up Hard in the Paint, customized top.
Shout them out.
Yeah, man, it's wicked. Thank you for appreciate it. I'm all good. Just welcome. Good to be back. Just talking Arsenal right now is not my strong point, because at this time, especially when things aren't going the way they are. But listen, we have to have some uncomfortable conversations, I'm sure. So let's run it. I
mean, I can't lie, Cecil, you're normally a bit more upbeat and lively and vibesy, man. Like, I could tell Arsenal's done a number on you, man. I don't know for PR and toxic positive from Cecil, because I think he obviously is upbeat, but I've never heard Cecil lie about the obvious. If it's raining, he's going to tell you it's raining. He's not going to tell you it's sunny. That's why he's on the platform. Let's jump into it, my guy, straight away. 13 points behind Liverpool, on course for a third successive season in second place. How are you feeling, man? Is it a failure of a season?
Season done.
Fair enough.
That's where I'm at right now. Is the season's kind of done for Arsenal. Now looking at summer windows, looking at next season, looking at pre-season. But yeah, is it a failure? I mean, I guess so. I think you have to look at it like that. I don't expect us to win the Champions League at all, because listen, PSV. I was on a stream with Robbie and that, and they were like, they were kind of saying it's favourable. You know, we'll get past PSV, but I was like, hold on a minute, let's wait. Let's not say
they're doing that Arsenal thing again.
No, they were looking at obviously the Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid, and I was like, hey, let's get
Remember
through
Villarreal, Olympiacos, and Sporting, man. Stay humble.
This is what I'm saying. Like I've been to PSV a number of times, especially away, and they can throw up problems. They're not doing too bad at Eredivisie either. But yeah, so Champions League's a big ask. Even the next round's a big ask, but to win it with Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, the next round, if we get to that stage, it's gonna be tough. And then the league, like you said, the gap for me is way too. The gap. I checked out before the West Ham game, and we was away, myself and
What specific moment when you say you checked out as well?
It was before the West Ham game. It was before then, because I can't really say, I don't remember exactly the exact game, but at that time, the gap for me, you couldn't really say. I wouldn't really start believing until my thing. I kept, when was out, me and Turkish were out, and everyone stopped. And I said, listen, I'm not going to start believing after Nottingham Forest. That's kind of when I'm gonna then be confident. Nottingham Forest was the game I was looking at. If we won that game, I say, cool, we're in it. I didn't
one last chance.
I skipped over West Ham. I said, I was thinking we're all right with that. We'll be fine. But Nottingham Forest was the game I was looking at. Turkish was with me. He was saying, look, listen, let's look at Nottingham Forest and Man United away. I said, it's those two games. Then I can talk about title race and all that. I just said the Nottingham Forest game. I think by that time I'll know. We didn't even get to the Nottingham Forest game. We got to West Ham, and I said, yeesh, it done. So, but I wasn't buying into, listen, we can go and win the league before the West Ham game, because I was like I said, I had to wait till we get to Forest, but we didn't even get there. So things aren't in my mood right now isn't the greatest. I know fans might be coming here for optimism from me. I'll be real. It's hard to believe when listen, we've been in this stage so many times as Arsenal fans. It's hard to believe. I don't see Liverpool dropping points, too many points in the last remaining games. And even if they do, can we capitalise without a striker? Yeesh. Big ask. So yeah, it is a failure, but small context. I don't want to say this is not excuses. This is context of the league. The injuries have been abysmal, and the red cards. I think majority of them, I think two are unfair. The rest, I think you can argue that okay, they should have stood like the Mars Lewis Skelly one. I think should have stood. Saliba one is here or not here nor there.
I ain't seen none of them word to Arsene Wenger, but I think you're right.
Yeah, so I'm not going to blame too much the disciplinary record, but definitely the injury. So there's context to it. We are second. It's not like we're bottom of we're not near the Man Uniteds of this world. So they're having a terrible season. Granted, they're in some cup competitions. The Tottenhams of this world, 13th as well. We're not that bad, but it's disappointing as an Arsenal fan when this was supposed to be our season. That's what hurts the most. This was supposed to be our season to really go on, kick on, and win the Premier League title, but this is how it is. So yes, it's failure, but there is context. Second, and then we're still in the Champions League. But I'm disappointed that we're out of the FA Cup, we're out of the League Cup. I think that is something that Arteta needs to really, really look back at, because you've got to pick up trophies on the way. I know he won an FA Cup in his first half season, but you're this good playing wise, you're this good competing with the top echelons of the league or whoever, or people in Europe. You have to then pick up trophies on the way. So if you're not doing that, and I'd even taken the Carabao Cup, your thing was a process, a 5-year process. Your thing was you shouldn't be satisfied with second place end of last season on that final game. Okay, if that's the case, then win something in your final year. You haven't. You are going to stay. I don't expect him to walk. I don't expect the board to sack him. But that's why it's failure, because we're holding. I said this. I've been on your show many times. I hold you to your own standard, and that was the standard you set. So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
Cecil, I can't disagree with anything you said there. I think you're bang on the money. I think it's a weird one, because I don't believe, I'm not saying you're saying this, but I do hear that rhetoric when I'm streaming. Like, people are saying at least it's not as bad as Man United, it's not as bad as Spurs, potentially Chelsea. I hear all of that, and it is a comfort, but you should only be looking up. And we did come into this season. Obviously, we didn't know City were going to fall off, and people didn't have Liverpool winning the league. But the rhetoric around, not only is this our opportunity after the previous 2 seasons, but if City were to stumble or failure or find themselves in this kind of situation, we would be the ones to pounce. You are right with injuries and red cards. They are a factor. I don't know how far the injuries go. Like, obviously, common sense, we've lost bare players. It's going to harm any team. But I think we've seen other teams have injuries before. I think we didn't future-proof the squad with enough depth going back to the summer, which we both said when we did a stream a few weeks ago. We missed the opportunity in January. I personally don't feel we've controlled all of the controllables. And I personally feel the January window and the subsequent injuries that have followed has merely just highlighted just how we missed an opportunity. You said something there, and I do think it's important, because on one hand, it is a mixed bag, because I see Arsenal as having a foundation and a base, and I'll get onto the process thing in a second. As much as I'm upset, the West Ham game, we haven't been too familiar with defeat this season. Obviously, we drew against Nottingham Forest. We know the backdrop is we're obviously dropping points. But prior to that, 15 games unbeaten. I cry about attackers. We're up there for goals. I cry about clean sheets. We're up there for clean sheets and defending. It's a mixed bag, and it shows that there's something to build upon. You said something interesting there, yeah? And it kind of piggybacks on two things you said, actually. You mentioned Mikel Arteta were holding him to his own high standards, which I agree, because I do think there's a lot of praise for Mikel Arteta, and then there's a lot of everything but Mikel Arteta when things go wrong, where the man himself says he wants trophies, right? Why do you think he struggles to get over the line? Because obviously, for whatever reason, there's reasons in all 3 years. Fundamentally, we haven't won the league, so that's 3, I don't want to say failed title challenges, but failure to get over the line. The cups, obviously, he mentioned he won the FA Cup, but we've come up short. Why do you think him and the team, when it's in crunch moments, we just simply don't get over the line and make history in terms of trophies?
It's a good question. It's a tough question.
That's what we're here for, man.
I know. I was at a conference yesterday. I was at University of Westminster doing with CEOs of football clubs: Brentford, West Ham, Leyton Orient. Sorry, not West Ham, Leyton Orient. Like, I was with CEOs, and they said,
and he's sporting directors there, man. There's a vacancy.
Oh, amen. But they were saying, like, you can't just sack a manager and get a striker and you win the league. Like, he was saying that at the club he was at. He said, I know a lot of fans think that.
I
don't know if it was a dig at me or whatever, but it felt very like, whoa. But the reason why I bring that up is because I think a striker. Last season we lost the season by two points. I think a good striker gets you over the line, in my opinion. Those 2 points, you win one of the games that you lose, or I don't know, you add 3 points to a draw, and you win the league because of goal difference. What we had, so I think a striker is, and it seems like a simple fix, of course, but I think we've neglected that area so much, considering we're so stacked at the back. I think that's cost us personally. personally. On top of that as well, because I think the team's good. I think Mikel Arteta is a good coach. I've always stood by that. I think this season we have regressed in the way that we play. We're not as fluid, we're not as open, we're not as
I think you're being nice, man. We've regressed in all aspects, man. The 2022-23 was good in an attacking sense. Last year was great defensively. This year we're kind of existing, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's tough, like because no one has the answer to what wins you trophies. I think getting a striker would have massively helped us get over the line. I think the whole world in their
100%.
Everyone knows that. So that I can't take away from it. This season, obviously, our key players going down. But like I said, if you invested properly in the club, you would have had cover for them. So that would have helped. I think there's issues. I think there's the Edu situation, which you spoke about, sporting director just then. There is more to be said on that situation, and that's coming from me. But at some point I'll have a lot more clarity on that, and I think the fans will know more. We're just in a place where we can't. I'm waiting because obviously there's situations that certain people can't talk. So once that clears up, well, I'll have more insight on that, and I'll let the fan base will know. But I think that's
an exclusive coming.
Yeah, but I just think, I can't obviously say too much, but I just think there is more to that Edu, him moving on, and yeah, so that's an interesting one, and that all builds to success in my opinion, because when things were going well and was top of the league for 248 days or whatnot, the club was harmonious. They were moving.
That's some stability.
Mikel, Edu, I think everyone was going in the right direction, all heading towards one North Star. I think there might have been some rumblings behind the scenes, which I'm speculating right now, but I think I have
clearly there's been
quite a bit of knowledge that there might have been some sort of issue, but right now I haven't got the full truth, so I'm not going to talk on it with full chest. But that all builds to it. So for me, that is the case. Obviously, like I said, no one has the answer to what wins you trophies. It's just I look at Mikel Arteta and say, like, you must be a good coach to get us back competing. You've been second, coming up to 3 times in a row. I've seen you destroy teams, pick them apart, but there's something that's missing. Whether that is the person who can get us over the line, is it the players that haven't got the experience of that? I don't know if I put it down to the players that haven't been there and done it, but some would say it could be that. Like a lot of the players,
I think it's everything.
Yeah, I think it all compiles into being that answer. But we're not going to go out and buy I have the track record of Arsenal. We're not going to go out and buy a proven winner who's cost 150 million or whatever. I don't see the club doing that. They never identify talent that have been there, done it like that. We never spend that sort of money in doing that. And what can one person really get you over the line? As in mentally, I don't know. I think obviously profile-wise, striker, yes, potentially, but not mentality-wise. So I don't know. It could be that because none of our players have ever big up, haven't got us, haven't won the Premier League that I can think of. I mean, some of the ex-City players, but a lot of them aren't in the side right now. So it's a tough question. But I think the main crux, the main thing I focus on is the letting us down in the windows of not getting a striker. You've neglected that area. Attacker, even an attacker, a proper attacker. Because Sterling, hey,
we're not going to slander the yard man, but it's dark.
Yeah. But we need viable cover in those attacking positions. We haven't got that. West Ham would have been a different game, in my opinion. We struggled to score. I think we had them in our grasp. We just couldn't score, and that is a familiar story of majority of what I've seen so far going forward. I went to Nottingham Forest. Fans were optimistic. A lot of them were saying we're probably going to lose, but there was some that were like, "Come on, we're Arsenal, we can beat them." And I said, "Just strap in because you tell me where the goal's coming from." And they said a corner across. I said the last time we scored that was a corner was
December or something, isn't it?
Yeah, last year. So I'm like, trust me, we're going to struggle to score goals. End up being 0-0. That is our story right now until you find a solution. And Arteta playing Mikel Moreno up front was a surprise package against Leicester. I've said this on many videos, but I've been at a football club. When a surprise happens, it happens once. That's why it's called a surprise. You can't then play him and expect him to do more surprises.
Nuno Espirito Santo backs up your comments after the game. He said there's no need to go 5 at the back. They're not playing with an organics forward.
Exactly. So that's professional clubs. When they're not idiots, like, and we're fans. We're not idiots. We see it's obvious. Like, you have to find a new solution. Whether you throw another attacker up there who's not a natural attacker. I've seen someone in the comments there put Calafiori, or you put Wanyeri.
Look at these conversations we're having, man. This is madness.
Bro, like, we laugh about when I go to the studio. We laugh about it. We actually laugh. Like, We're Arsenal Football Club in second place, an opportunity we could have won the league, and we are debating to put Calafiori up front. I've heard madness. Obviously, Zinchenko's now been put in the midfield.
That's how I know Arteta shook, because he's putting Zinni in midfield.
Bro, the club is it's in a mad place. And of course, we'll support and back them. That's what I like. That's what I do. But it's disappointing. It's more disappointing than anger and frustration. I speak to some of the angriest fans, and they're at a place where they're like, I can't.
I must admit, I do enjoy the clips of you, Laurie pissing off Turkish. I do enjoy it.
Yeah, because Turkish is one of them. But like again, a lot of these fans, Turkish lead judges, and that like they have angry moments off camera where they just go mad. But then they're like, they calm down and say it's not even worth the energy right now. Like we've all seen the issues here. We all know the problems. We've been supporting us for a long time. But what's the point of getting angry now? We're just disappointed, and that's exactly the feeling I have right now. I'm disappointed that we didn't get the maximum. We didn't get over the line in the Premier League or whatever competition it is, even in any cup, even if it's the League Cup. We was in a semi-final or quarter-final, semis, I think. Yeah, semis. And we didn't really capitalize properly because of our own club letting us down. So frustrating, man. Frustrating.
I think you're bang on the money, man. I think it's a mixed bag, man. I think we dropped the ball off the field. I think we dropped the ball on the field. I agree with what you're saying about a striker, but I slightly disagree, because I believe a striker, like you said, I think your logic's bang on. You know, a striker that could take these half chances, we get more points on the board, we keep it moving and whatnot. But I do think there's a lot Mikel Arteta has to arrest on the field. I actually am now of the belief that I like the fact that, you know, obviously we're second. He's a good coach. Whether he can get us over the line is another thing. But as dumb as it sounds, and I know he wants to win games, I think we're too focused on not losing the ball in certain situations, and we're somewhat decent until we get into the final third. I think there's a lot he needs to arrest on the coaching front, and I don't think we've ever relied on corners, but the corners have run out. I think the corners kind of hid our lack of creativity in the final third, and it's all just compounded, really. Like, obviously you kind of touched on it. You said fans are not idiots. It doesn't feel like, maybe not in terms of the results, but the crisis was inevitable because we dropped the ball in the summer. We're hopeful of, you know, form continuing of certain players and all the positives last season playing out. We're somewhat, maybe we was naive or we failed to bring in players, but we didn't get enough depth. And we know the red cards are one thing, but how far does that go? Because Liverpool, when they won the league, I'm sure they were up there for that, the Invincibles as well. There are other factors, but I don't think we've controlled the controllables. Now, I'm not saying sacking Mikel Arteta necessarily brings success. I'm not saying keeping him brings success, but I do think we're at that point now where if we're going to talk about United and this club and that club below us, and we're going to cut excuses somewhat for whoever finishes above us, what are we trying to do? I know some people want to sit here and talk about the Cronkies, which I think are valid, but they've also kind of backed him, and it goes beyond that. Like, if you can't achieve what you need to achieve, rightly or wrongly, within the context is how the Cronkies work, then we have to try something new. My question to you is, at what point do we begin to try something new? Because I do think we approached this season, and like you said, he's not going to get sacked. He's on 15 mil a year. He'd have to walk, which he's not going to do because he enjoys a bit, gets paid a lot. Obviously, he's got a sweet gig for someone that's been here 6 years. But at what point do we try something new? Because he's been here 6 years. Three of them 6 years, we've been fighting for a title. 3 very different years. Fundamentally, we finished second. We did come into the season saying we need to win something. The gloves are off for the board, for the players, for the club. Unfortunately, ultimately, a lot falls with the manager. So at what point do we say, do you know what, we might have to try something else?
Okay, so my brain, I love coming on the show because I explore so many different narratives and things that I've taken in.
Take your time, my guy.
Yeah, so I mean, I want to give a strong answer. I think the obvious answer is, which I think when I'm sitting with Turkish, when we did the preview on the last video for Nottingham Forest, he said, just try something different. Let's do this now. Do it now. We've got nothing to play for, really. But I went right now, by end of the season. I went against him and said, like, Nottingham Forest, you're not going to throw in youngsters and academy play, and it's a way. I think, and Mikel Arteta as a manager is still going to want to fight for that second position. I know, again, as us as fans, we don't care if you're second, third, because what is it? You end up with nothing anyway. But he's still going to try and keep the level high. But Turkish was saying you need to experiment now because, like, you don't want to be experimenting too late into next season.
He could be getting back into that Wenger trap of long-termism.
Right. But my thing is he kind of has he experimented from the beginning of the season, and the reason why I say that is because we were playing differently to what we was playing this season. So you've gone with a different approach this season. So that's your experiment, by the way. You started with something different. There's no way you can say last season was the exact same as this season. So that was an experiment. I think things like Declan Rice, I know last season he was playing in that 8 role, but he really has doubled down on putting him in the 8 role. I think put him where I think he'll be best in the 6. Again, Mikel Arteta is a manager. He's a genius. I've said he's a genius many times. People ridicule me.
I don't think Rice is going back into that 6 role. I can't lie. I'm with you.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying try the things that seem simple now. Like he's experimenting now anyway, finally putting Zinni in the midfield. I don't love Zinni in the midfield personally. Anyway, I didn't love the idea of it.
Oh, at that point now, man.
Many fans want to see it. So he's experimenting now anyway. I just think I'm quite frustrated because when you was talking earlier, I was just thinking, okay, last season I felt like we was our brilliant best throughout the whole season. We could win games emphatically, right? But this season, I haven't really, bar the Man City game, but the reason why Man City is different because it's fueled by many different emotions. And I, being a footballer, when you have that sort of
you're on that
get back mentality, I even predict people. I did previews that if you know to say I'm not talking shit and just waffling about that situation, I predicted a high scoreline because I know how the mindset works and how footballers work. I knew we was going to dominate that game, but I haven't seen that performance this season across the whole season. Really, last season we saw a lot of it. Was it sustainable? I thought it was the way we was playing last season. Mikel Arteta must have seen something and thought, okay, it's not. We didn't win the league, right? But the new style he's gone with, suffocation, dominating, the ball and going inside us, we're not relying on set pieces, but scoring goals from that sort of situations.
It's individual brilliance and set piece FC at times, man. It's like no matter how much he does that, you still have to try and show what we're about to a degree.
Exactly. And to me, playing that way is not sustainable. So if you can mix the both, you've got the winning formula for me. Sadly, we went too far one way and relying on those set pieces and individual brilliance. When you rely on that, you rely on set pieces that you're not going to score set piece every game. I don't care how good we are. That's not going to happen. And
at one point, it looked like we would, but yeah, right.
Yeah, I know. But then when you're relying on that and individual brilliance, if the individuals go down that you're relying on, then you have a problem. And that is what's happened. Trouble. Yeah, and that's what's happened. So should he be trying things? I think he's at the stage where, he hasn't really got a choice because he's left with what he has to play with, which is the injured player, the available players that aren't injured. But then on top of that, I think you've got to start looking at what is the best for Arsenal going into next season, but subtly doing it. So we were in the office yesterday talking about, I think Arteta is now going to try a double DM and then have 110 in there. I think you might see them. I don't know if he's going to do that, but that's what the conversation in the office was. I think he is going to do subtle changes and that will be it. Maybe he wants to go with two 6s next season and have a 10. I always thought his dream, from what I've worked out sitting with James and what we've spoken and seen, that he wanted 1 DM and 2 10s. But I think he's now, because I feel like Arteta is a man that when things affect him, they really do, and he looks to find solutions for him and he sticks to it. So
that's why I said I think he's burnt from our first title challenge because he's gone the other way, kind of what you said, rather than combined in the last 2 previous years coming into this one.
100%, and that I can agree with. I think he gets burned quite a lot, and he that affects him. So I think when we spoke about the double DM, does that work? I mean, you keep a Declan Rice in there and Martin Zubimendi if we get him. Or I don't know who stays out of Partey or Jorginho. I don't know if they both go. But if you have a Zubimendi, if you have a Zubimendi and a Rice in there in the double 6 or double pivot, and you allow Rice to not do as much work because he's got so much ability, but he covers every blade of grass, which makes him knackered. And you put a solid, confident 10 in there with the defense you have, and you actually get a good front 3 or good striker, then we can cook. But we have to see if that will work in Arsenal. And I think the conversation we had yesterday was actually quite good. I think you might start to see Arteta trying those sort of things. But again, we're not going to deviate too far away from, academy players running in. I'm still surprised I'm seeing Zinchenko in the midfield at times, but he's not starting with him. He's just bringing him on as an option because that's all he has. So if I start seeing Zinchenko start in that midfield, I'll start questioning Arteta and be like, whoa, I don't know where you're going here, because a lot of fans want to see Zinchenko move on and now you're throwing him in to start. That wouldn't make any sense to me. But if you start to see, I don't know, a Partey and Jorginho in there with a Martin Odegaard, that might be interesting. Or Declan Rice and Partey playing a bit deeper with Odegaard in front. Those are subtle changes I want to see. But again, all those changes also rely on what you do in the summer. You need good attacking options. I see Zubi and Rice in the double pivot, so Aris put this stinks. But I don't know what the midfield. I don't know what. And this is what I'm.
Yeah, Zubimendi needs to get signed first before we do all of that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm predicting these things happen, but I've seen Zubimendi be linked heavily to Liverpool and pull out. I've seen PR from Arsenal in the past that, if I'm being honest, good pause. I've seen PR really, take hold of me. Zubimendi deal for that PR at the time when we didn't sign anyone that was trying to appease the fans. He may not be coming to Arsenal, but I'm trying to future look to see what is Arteta going to go with next season. Because let me tell you this, people, we will not be winning the league if he does the same as what he's done this season.
How many players do you think we need?
Well, we did a shopping list. Me and Curtis on the live.
Yeah, let me get my pen and paper, man. Let me get my pen and paper.
We got to 8.
I can guess one. I know you're going to say striker.
Yeah, we need a striker. We got to 8 players on the live I did 2 weeks
ago. Damn.
But yeah, but realistically, we got it down to 5 or 6. Do I think he's going to get 5 or 6? No, I think it would be less than that. I think 4 is realistic. 4 signings, but I'm trying to think, who are they? A striker. I also think we need a winger, because if we play the left wing situation, I think is being techie.
Centre mid goes without saying.
Yeah, centre mid. That could be 2, but let's say centre mid 4.
Yeah, because you could reckon whether it's another 8 or another 6, or in like with Martin Odegaard's form, another 10 to ease the burden. I know Ranieri's about, but you could argue that that's 4.
Yeah, but Ranieri could be covered for Saka. But then can you allow for that? Because Ranieri's going to want to be playing. He's going to want to be in the England fold. Saka has to play as well. You're right. Odegaard, can you play both of them with a single pivot? Which I would love. That's the dream. Odegaard and a single, and Ranieri and a single.
That's what I mean. I want to see him try different things. Like you said, sometimes Rice could be a 6, and even Odegaard could be an 8. I remember Brighton a few years ago.
Sorry to cut you. Rice, Odegaard, and Ranieri.
Yeah, that could be lit. I remember against Brighton a few years ago where it obviously was the wrong personnel, but Lokonga was the lone 6. You had 2 8s or 10s. I do think Arteta, and obviously you have to kind of play the same kind of way to get consistency and be in these conversations. But at the time, I want to see a bit of mix and blend, if that makes sense. But yeah, we said striker, we said winger, we said midfielder. Did you go for 2 midfielders?
The dream win. So
what you honestly think we need in a dream?
We need 2 midfielders if it's gone off the dream.
So striker, 2 wingers. Striker, 2 midfielders, winger.
Yep, and then obviously a backup goalkeeper because Neto's going to go.
5.
Yep. 5. You're going to get rid of Zinchenko. You're going to get rid of Tierney. You're going to probably get rid of
Kivior could cut.
Yeah. So if those go. Sounds awful. You're gonna have to get another left. You have to get another left back. I know we got Mars Lewis Skelly. I know we got Calafiori, but
let's just brand that over defender.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. And then I'll be happy with that. I'll be happy with it. That's 6. That's 6.
I hear that. I might be being a bit greedy, but I don't know for the depth. I do think obviously last season. Yeah, probably will. I don't know. Obviously, no 2 seasons are the same, but we still had injuries, but we basically kept everyone fit last year. This year, we've been injured. Maybe take a leaf out of Liverpool's book or go back to us. Whatever we've been doing with keeping players fit, that has to persist. That's what I mean. It just feels like a lot of things are self-inflicted. I'm with you. In an ideal world, I want a striker, I want a winger. Dream world, I want 2 centre mids, whether that's an 8, a 6, a 10. Just get me 2 of them. I think we need another versatile defender. I think we need a goalkeeper or 2. I would love Mikel Arteta because he is going to stay here. Arrest what you need to arrest on the football in front, and then we could take it from there. And then I even if they did all of this, I'd give them a pat on the back. But I'm at the point, Cecil, where I'll only believe that we're going to win a Premier League title now when we're actually, all of us, where you and all the boys from AFTV, we're all in Islington seeing the boys hold the trophies. There's no more dreaming or any of that anymore for me. So it'd be a step in the right direction. The club can't miss the ball. I have no expectations because we finished 2 points off City. The summer window we had was not good enough. January, we did nothing, whether it was bringing in players, whether there was no options on the market, whatever way people want to shape it. The next conversation is we did nothing. It was predictable where these injuries were going to go. And I do think a lot of our issues are self-inflicted, and they've been self-inflicted, if I'm completely honest. Do you think we're in a top 4 fight now? Because we're closer to 10th than we actually are to Liverpool.
That change of play was crazy. Man switched it. Top 4 fight. I mean, if you look at our injuries and the position we're in, yeah, you would say that because you look at the next couple of games and you'd say, can we pick up all these points to stay in this? For me, I think we end up being in that second position. I'll be honest. I think we do hold it down. I'm I know, but I'm not. I'll be honest. The feeling I have right now, I'm not worried about top 4. I think we get in top 4. And if
We're
I'm
not even
honest,
playing well with no pressure like we normally do.
I know, but that's because of the situation. Because we have we have so many injuries and no attackers. But I think the fact that it's top 5 really, because Champions League submissions are top 5 now. Am I worried that we drop out of that? No. So I think the club will think like that as well. And they're saying about the players returning after the international break, the Sackers and Martin Leeds. I don't know how I feel about that.
Tell us how you feel, man. Let us know your thoughts about that.
I don't think so. I mean, it's hard. It's a pause. David Raya, he did an interview with David Seaman on Seaman Says. He says Saka, and I can gauge when people are lying or what's PR, what's bullshit, normally by their tone. I work with people, and he said that Saka's definitely be back by the end of the season. He seems so confident about it and then he obviously spoke about Havertz, said there's no way he's making it back. So I think Saka will be back. At first, I didn't, because
He'll be back for the Champions League final.
Yeah, we can all dream. He Robbie did an interview with a doctor, and they said, listen, 4 to 6 months minimum for a hamstring after surgery. So I was very, very concerned that he would even make it back by the end of the season. But if they return, those players, the Martin Leeds, Sackers of the world, I think we can hold in the top 5 quite comfortably. I don't feel worried about a top 5, top 4 race.
Are you worried about Saka returning this season? Because many people say, you know what, especially in like with obviously Liverpool winning champions elect, to put it nicely, just let him chill off, because the one blessing could be Saka's actually having rest now and whatnot, and just come back next season and we go again, rather than potentially coming back, trying to get your fitness and you know, somewhat suffering a setback. Like, do you think he should cool off?
It depends on the situation. I think you don't rush him back in. I think if things, I don't think we should be relying on him like we used to, play every game, every minute of every game, in my opinion.
That, you know, that ain't changing, bro.
Yeah, I know, but because I'm biased, because I care for and fans don't like this about me. I care for the players' well-being a lot of the time, just in general. So let me get my light back on. But
man.
So I think they should look to rest him unless in dire need, but be smart about it, because
we arguably are that now.
You got to ease him back in. But I must say as well, right? Arteta, we talk about the summer window, he has to go big, and he has to put pressure on the board to go big, because I'm sorry, it potentially is your last season, my friend. No, I speak to fans. You really
think that? Like, is he really under that much pressure? You got a 3-year deal, Context FC. If you finish second again,
brother,
we're going around in circles, I feel, as Arsenal fans.
50% of the fans that I speak with out of 100 say, you know what? They did what we just said there. There's context to this season. Just give him one more year. I'm frustrated we haven't won anything, but give him one more year, because there is context to this season. He even mentioned in his press conference. But then there's obviously a 50% of the fan base. It might be a bit small, 45, 40, that are already Arteta out. By the end of the season, if you don't win anything, they're already saying, listen, we keep saying you have to win something this season. This is the last season. This is a 5-year process. All of that trust process. They're already there. So
been here 6 years.
When there's a 50-50 swing, yeah,
conversations now getting over the line.
People give you that time, 50-50 or 60-40. By the end of next season, if you don't have anything, if you're out of every cup, right, then I'm sorry, there is no swing there. There's no fan saying give him another year, because you've sure. Have you spoken to any Arteta sexuals? Yeah, you've gone past the amount. Even they're gonna keep standing by. Yeah, well, I'll be surprised. I'll be really surprised. And I'm not gospel, but I see how fans swing. I see how it changes. I think by the end of next season, if you're not winning anything, you will have a lot of the fan base turn on Mikel Arteta. And depending on obviously, no, it's not even depending on where we are. I think fans really want a trophy. And on top of that as well, it's not like getting another manager, bringing him into a good side like Arsenal, can't get it over the line, because Arne Slot's just proven that he can come into a team and win and be successful. Same Liverpool side that was written off. And I must admit, some Arteta sexuals, they went from writing off Liverpool in the top 4 race in the summer. They went from saying it's not sustainable with what Salah's doing and they will get injuries. And then they started doing that thing where they look at the fixture calendar list. And now, obviously, because of where we are in the season, they're now flipping it and saying, oh, well, Arne Slot did inherit Mohamed Salah, Van Dijk, and all of these things, which is true in jest. But you're being dishonest. It's like, obviously, there is context around how our season derailed. And I hear that. But for me, there's that conversation. And I'm willing and ready to talk about that till I'm blue in the face.
But then also a sub part of that convo, bro, is okay, I hear that. But did we get over the line? Did we win anything? Winners win, losers explain. We were geared up towards winning. This is now where we're at as a football club. I feel we've got good, exciting players. We've got a good base. As I said earlier, Cecil, we're crying about attackers and defending. We've got all of that. Our top 6 record is somewhat decent. We still haven't quite grasped fine margins, but a lot of it feels self-inflicted with the manager's tactics and not bringing in players and players not doing their jobs all the time. But surely, man, at some point, something else has got to change. I'm not even at the pitchfork stage of Arteta. For me, it's gloves are off. If you cut, safe. If you stay, it is what it is. Nobody's earned that quote unquote support from me beyond you being the manager and the players, etc.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like, I credit Arteta a lot, and that's why I don't like talking negatively on him, but I give him so much praise. We've done this before in these streams. Like, we looked back at a few things that he's done for the club and where we've got to. You know, we weren't even in top 4, weren't even in the conversation. I was getting worried about going to games against Burnley and praying it would get a win. Now I'm confident.
That used to be dark.
Yeah, trust me. So we've come a long way, and I credit Mikel Arteta and the players that he signed at first. The Ben Whites of this was Tomiyasu injured and all that, but those sort of the players that he signed that I questioned, he got really good amount of level out of them. Like, really
would you make it a talent ID as well? Because you're kind of tying into it, and this question's kind of said Mikel Arteta's talent ID sucks. But yeah, go on.
Well, it's not all on him because it's the board that are obviously doing talent ID as well. But it may suck a little bit because we don't get the Isaks of this world when people were saying, you know, from Real Sociedad, they could have got him. We could have got him. He was a player that we could have targeted, and we was all aware of that, but they didn't get him. He's flying at Newcastle, and you need big bread. Yeah. The talent ID is not incredible, but Arteta as a coach has done really well to better players. Like, we looked at Mudryk. That was talent ID that we all wanted. We didn't get him. We got Trossard, who at the time was okay, fair enough, was a good enough substitute for that. But he was not someone I would say that's great talent ID. We took an opportunity because he fell out of his manager and whatnot. But Arteta, for me at the time, got the best out of him. Now I think he stinks a little bit.
A little bit. Whole team stink,
exactly. And then again, Caicedo. Like, we wanted, to be fair, Caicedo was not too bad for Chelsea at the start of the season. But Caicedo, we ended up getting Jorginho. Again, another opportunity that kind of arose. It's not good talent ID, but we made the most of it. Jorginho, for me, I think stepped in and done well, especially this season. Out of all the Chelsea players rejects that we signed, he hasn't been too bad. So the talent ID may not be great, but Arteta, I think, has done well with some of these players. I mean, the talent ID of Ramsdale at the time. Listen, it stinks now, but he was really good when he was at Arsenal, was in team of the season. Done well to find him. That might be down to, obviously, the goalkeeper coach, Naki Kanya. But if I go to, again, the Ben Whites of this world, I did not want Ben White. I thought, what the hell is this? But then
Gabriel Magalhaes, another one.
Gabriel Magalhaes.
I know he's not flavour of the month. Wonder God.
Yeah, no. But Odegaard, he's a serious player. He's a fun bro. He was team of the season, got highest goal scoring midfielder.
Like, Arteta's no Arsene Wenger for finding talent, and I think it's questionable when he's got big ticket money to spend on big ticket items. But he has improved some players, maybe not to the degree that we want, and that's where for me, it's over the line now. If we want to be a team that is doing top 4, you're doing all right. If we want to get over the line and not be here explaining how Liverpool got a new manager and won, or City's domination and etc. We have to control the controllables and stop having certain conversations like me and you, ironically, are having and you're having right now with myself. So, like, if nothing changes, nothing changes in all aspects.
In all aspects. And again, let's just finish off on talent ID. Like, that's not to take to discredit some of the bad signings, the Tavares of this world, the Lokongas and all that sort of talent ID. I understand. For me, Arteta it's not horrendous talent ID, but it's not great either. So you're just middle ground for me, because you've got players that, again, surprised me at first, but you've made them into players that I've grown to really love. But then there's also obviously some stinky ones out there. But yeah, so he's in the middle ground for me when it comes to talent ID. So yeah, fair as a whole as well. That does not just him. I'll stick some of the board members in that as well.
So how do you feel about Arteta's power, or growing in power? Because obviously I do think I personally think the Cronkies are betting on him. You know, you got a 15 million a year contract. Like you said, he is a good coach. For me, I don't have to say you're not a good coach, because I don't think may not be able to get us to where we need to get to, but you're a good coach. They're betting on you. I think they're looking at you doing the long-termism, kind of like Wenger, but you haven't got Wenger's credentials. It seems like he's growing in power off the field to the point where Edu employed him. Obviously, when you look at beneath the lines of the Athletic and all of these people that say the sporting directors, they say Arteta is going to have a big say. Now, naturally, he's going to be asked, but I don't know if I feel that that's the right kind of thing. How do you feel about Mikel Arteta's power? Like, do you think he should really just be a head coach, or do you think he should get more power? Where are you at with the whole power dynamics off the field? As much as your knowledge, because we're just fans at the end of the day.
Should he get more power is a no. And I'm a fan of Arteta, but he has a lot of control from my standpoint. Yeah, from what I know from the meeting in LA with the board.
Fox is a fraud, man. This guy's just talking about deforestation, but go on, Cecil, man.
Don't worry about that. Yeah, just like from when I was in LA and they had their meeting with the Cronkies and that, they swan over Arteta. When I've been in the preseason tours and I spoke to Josh Kroenke.
Yeah, we want Cecil out as well. You was cool with the Cronkies on holiday. You might have to catch strays as well. No, I'm joking.
No, I get that. That image.
No, I'm chatting.
That image now people keep bringing up. But
that's the social media being done, man.
Yeah, bro. I love that image. Yeah, I was Kroenke out 4 years ago when there was Super Leagues and the club was a mess. Then they put money in, Declan Rice record signing. That was exactly that same summer where I saw them. Stand by that photo. Things changed, but at times it works. At times it felt right. Anyway, forget all that. I think power-wise, Arteta has extreme power. For people that are not as close to, I've been privileged to have been in certain scenarios with seeing him and the board and together. But
he has got aura. I'll give Arteta that.
Yeah, if you look at the Amazon documentary, when it came to Aubameyang, it was only Arteta that wanted Aubameyang out. Didn't want to speak to him. Don't still want to see him in the canteen. Get him out of the club.
He wanted Marino and Calafiori as well.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. But he wanted mainly, he wanted those players, to sign. But when it came to Aubameyang, he wanted him out of the club after the whole disciplinary stuff. And the board, the Edus and all that, Richard Garlets, they were in the meeting saying, I don't think this is the right idea. He's our top goal scorer, most money. But Arteta was like, I want him out. They got him out. So Arteta has extreme power. I've seen if you're wise about the timeline, like the Super League, Kroenke out protest, all of that, as Arteta was joining, Arteta implemented these philosophies, the songs, the bringing the fans closer to the team, the transmitting of energy and all that, and the voices. All of that has all happened.
We need to stop that North London Forever song, but go on.
All that's happened when Arteta is here. If I'm an owner and I'm sitting at the top thinking, right, they hated us, and now Arteta's got us here, and they even talk about us anymore. Granted, they're talking about us right now, but if you're the ownership, you're thinking, wow, this guy, we got to trust, we got to back him, whatever he needs. And I've seen Josh say, well, I've said to him about Arteta, he goes, whatever he needs, we will give him. Like they put full backing behind him. Obviously, granted, some things may not be like as in full backing of, I'll give you £1 billion to spend like Chelsea, but like the support of, okay, what do you need? If we can make it viable and it works financially with our books, we'll get it for you. Like you're in control. Like I even think the sporting director, I hope he's not got control over that Arteta, but I think he will have a big say in it because Arteta is very meticulous in the way we play. He talks about it all the time, or the players do, talk about how much detail he gives in every scenario. A sporting director can't just come in and say, and mostly I've been at football clubs, my sporting director normally is supposed to do the philosophy of how we play and all of that. They give the input to all that. He's not going to have that power with Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta is a manager. He's not a coach anymore. And I feel like he sees himself as that guy. I think at times to his detriment, if I'm being honest, because I think
a lot of the time. Yeah, because we're going against the modern structure of the game. Like, obviously, I can understand what Arsenal are trying to do, and I'm not. Arteta can only get experience when he gets experience, but I kind of understand a man like Wenger or Sir Alex Ferguson having that kind of say because they've been in the game, they've earned that right. Exactly. Pep Guardiola don't even have that seat. Now, let's not be naive. Clearly, he's sourced about off the field issues and whatnot, but he's just left to be a manager. It's like it's like everybody's a head coach nowadays. To a degree, Aston Villa with I don't want to mention his name because people want him back at their club, but Unai Emery, you see what Villa's doing. With great power comes great responsibility. Do you think it's a fallacy then, really? Because we could, on one hand, I think you do need an experienced sporting director. I think whether Edu was right or wrong, we tried that one. It didn't really work. I do think we need someone that's a lot more experienced. Shout out Jason Ito, but I think We need someone with a phone book, someone that's been there and done it. But we could go, you could argue we could get the new David Dean. If they don't have much of a say as Mikel Arteta, then surely it's a bit of a fallacy. And I only mention that because, I think there's times Arteta's wanted players and he's been done dirty. And I also think Arteta has to hold his own L's. At the end of the day, Cronkies are not going to splash all the P's, and I can ask questions of them. They've given you left backs galore. They've ripped up contracts, like you said. They've made you they've done everything that they can. They've given you 15 mil a year as a contract. You like the job so much. Let's get away from whether you like Arsenal or not, and just look at it a cerebral way. Bearing in mind, he rejected our club before he took it. He wants to be a good manager. Obviously, they've given you a new deal, so you can work within this remit. You have to make it work. Do you think if the next sporting director doesn't have a say as big, quote unquote, as Arteta, or if the Cronkies don't listen to whoever that is as much, do you think we're in the same scenario kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it's pointless. I think it's pointless. I think for a club to grow, if you're employing a sporting director, you have to, that's like making a uni graduate CEO. Like, if you're putting a sporting director, he has to have a say. Like, they have to have a say. Like, what's the point in employing one then? Just make Mikel Arteta everything, because I find it crazy, and I think Arteta has a lot of power. So I'm saying this, but I don't know if it will happen. I just think if you're employing a sporting director, they have to have some sort of say in what's going on. You can't skip him out. And Arteta being on that much money, £50 million, like, he's the second highest paid manager in the Premier League. I think you're going to get a CEO who's probably on less than him. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you're the sporting director. That's the great. Like, how does that make any sense to what's happening here? So, I worry for that. I do worry for that. I really do. I really do. I think you need someone, like you said, with gravitas. I think you need someone that has been there and got it over the line before at a club. And the reason why I say that is because I think Arteta is I think he's a genius of a coach. I think he knows the game well and works things out really well. I know some will say, look at the games we haven't won. Why has he not been a genius in them situations? But I think he's smart when it comes to looking at every facet of a game and building a team around it and getting the best out of them. But I think you need sometimes a bigger head or an older head or a superior head who's been there and one thing, so they can be like, listen, at this stage,
there's a thin line between being a genius and being an idiot. Like, I genuinely think that with Arteta.
Yeah. And I can hear that. I hear that point. So I just feel you need someone that has been there and get it over the line, mentally, and can speak to the players, speak to Arteta, and have a bit of authority. Like, David Dean was a guy that challenged a lot.
He stopped Wenger from moving too mad when he was trying to move too mad. We needed that.
Yeah, and you need someone that can do that, because I think Arteta gets into this deep world of numbers, just everything. And I think sometimes you need someone who's can just pluck him out of it and say, consider this, what about this, think about this, and actually cut through to him, cut through, not just say it and then get overlooked because he's like, nah, my rules go, basically. So yeah.
I shout out Yardman, man. Like, shout out Yardman. Make sure you're following Yardman. I need to get him back on the channel. Nah, that's him still. You know what? He has said something, and I've already gone to battle with him, yeah. But what do you like? He said, please tell me the good that Arteta does, basically. We're like, what would you say to caveat that?
Brother, like, when we beat Aston Villa, the Yardman wasn't that loud. I didn't really hear him, but that's a good thing.
Like, the Yardman, they're saying you're selective, brother.
Like, come on, bro. Like, you've been there when we've been in the pits, bro. Going to games, getting vexed. I know you're vexed. We won something now, but it's like, look where we came from before that. I mentioned earlier, bro. Burnley. I remember going to Burnley. We winning 1-0 from a free kick. I was stressed that we only just about got over the line there. Like, I remember going to games of lesser teams. Southampton, we actually lost a few seasons ago at their place. Like, those games I used to be.
We could lose this year. We got them.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it could go back to that, but I'm just saying, like, we have moved forward as a club. We definitely have, like, and as a business-wise, you never want to talk about business because we're fans. So, like, we don't care about business. Money doesn't come into my pocket. It's money coming out my pocket for this club. But, like, we're back in the Champions League. Like, we're playing big teams. We're amongst it. We're beating big teams. Mikel Arteta, he has done a lot. He's done a lot of things. He just hasn't got over the line. But I've done a lot of things that I've actually been happy with.
Surely, Cecil, and again, that's my thing. Like,
I've enjoyed watching Arsenal over past.
It's an over the line thing now. I like Arteta. He's done wavy stuff. Over the line, or you need to go at some point, man. Like, you've taken us from the pitch. Like, forget that, man. Like, well, some man, I'm not saying you, Cecil, but some man are more loyal. Some man are not disloyal to their gal than they are for Arteta. It's not making sense, man. Like, it's not making sense. And at some point, we are gonna have to look at what he's doing, because I think he engineers his own downfall. I do, and we're like, I ain't got the comment up anymore, but I do think one thing people like to hide behind is he doesn't get his first choice targets. One, because I hear that. I think there's logic with, if you don't get your first targets, that, you know, naturally you're going to be kind of in trouble. Two, everyone don't get their first targets. You still need to be able to pivot really, really and truly. And three, there's been many times where you have got your first targets. You know, we saw, I'm happy we got David Raya, right? But we saw it in the Athletic.
Yeah,
not
Declan
everybody
Rice.
thought we needed a goalie. Pardon?
And Declan Rice as well. As our first
Declan Rice, Marino, Calafiori. There's been bare things you got, like, and that's why I think it's a mixed bag. I can't just blame Arteta. I can't just blame the board. I can't just blame the players. You're all in this fuckery together.
I'm with
And you
brother.
all go, really.
That's my energy, bro. You're all in it together. And nowadays, I can't hear my man say I'm not getting my first targets, because Arsenal is a fucking attractive club from the whole scope. The way every player talks about after sitting with Mikel Arteta, they want to sign for him. So one, if you get him in the room, you're pretty much, for me, I think you're confirmed to get in.
I don't know if the real G's want to hear that from Arteta, but we need to try now.
No, I hear that, but I'm also saying though that we are so attractive. We're in Champions League football now, yeah. We're in Champions League football, so you can't have the excuse of I want to be playing Champions League football. You're in the highest competition, so that's another bonus to being attractive. Yes, we haven't won the league, right? That's one downfall. But I'm sorry, if I'm a young player or a player that's looking to go to a club, you want to go to a club that's there amongst it and be the one that brings you over the line, because you will get the plaudits when you sign for them. So for me, we are extremely attractive as a club, and we're a big club anyway. So the first target thing now going forward can't really wash as well. The only thing is the money. That's the only thing, is if you're not getting paid the same amount of money as someone else offering, that's the only way you might get swayed. So the first choice stuff, I don't want to use that here as an excuse going forward for Mikel Arteta. And then lastly it's the getting the over the line thing. I think we're all aware of that. I'm not championing Arteta to the mountains, you know.
No, you definitely not said that.
Because Curtis put a super chat in one of our AFTV lives and said, if he doesn't win anything this season, where do you all stand? And I was the one that said he can go. I'm not going to be the one waving the flag, though, marching at the front of the line, screaming Arteta out. Because
I'm past marching for anything in relation to this club. Ownership, manager, players, like, you lot do what you want to do, man. Like, I'm always going to be here supporting the club. You're all in it. It's like we've all jumped in the dinger, done something on the block. We've all got nicked. All of our fingerprints are theirs. Joint enterprise. Everybody has to go. Now, I don't know what mitigating circumstances Arteta has versus the Cronkies. And if you bust case, you bust case. But we should all be on remand in Belmarsh at this moment in time. It's long, man. And I pause. And I think some Arsenal fans, you can't gas up the manager, say he's this, that, and I'm talking about those that are toxic positive and those that are toxic negative, because some he can do no well, some he can do no good. You can't, I'm talking for the toxic positive in this incident. You can't gas a man to this day and age and this high level if there's always an excuse. Yes, these excuses might play a part, but there's also the other side of it, as you've alluded to, in that, did you do it or not, really? And we're playing Marino up front at this moment in time. Arteta's not betting on the Haylenders. You're not changing things. And I'm not saying this is anything wrong. It's just, I'm simply saying we're just existing. And I personally think those above Arteta as well as him, I think they signed up for this because you don't have that January. Like, kind of what you said. I'm not saying you're saying this. I'm saying this. They probably looked at it. We've got enough to keep ticking over to get second, even though top four is at play now. The fight, you mentioned a good point about 5 Premier League clubs could get Champions League. They might even, if I'm devious, they might even be looking at that. Naturally, next season, there's going to be optimism. Like, I have to ask you as well, like, do you think Arteta is a bit too much of a control freak?
In what sense? As in, like, just
especially slightly, you could say off the field, but on the field, because you can tell he thinks about the opposition and whatnot. Like, he wants to control certain circumstances. Because I have watched us in the final third and thought we need a bit of healthy randomness. I know the game's gone, but it needs a bit of healthy randomness. It feels a bit too scripted, and it's also very slow. Now, on one hand, the players have got to take responsibility, but on the other hand, as you know, because you've played football, the players are doing what the gaffer's telling you. Could he take the kind of handbrake off, especially in the final third?
You're asking me, do you think he's too hands-on, basically, or too
what's somewhat specifically in the final third?
What's the word you used before? You said to
control freak.
Control freak. You're asking me, is Mikel Arteta too much of a control freak? This is a man who hired pickpockets to.
He's a madman.
Like, of course he's a control freak. Like, I don't know anyone that does that. My brother, that is a madness. Like, I get trying to be aware all the time and scanning. I get those things. But when your team's in a team meal and they're trying to relax, you've got pickpockets in to keep them alert. Yes, he's a control freak.
Hooks, we don't want to hear what you have to say. You're talking about deforestation and chatting shit on shorts, but go on, Cecil.
Yeah.
Someone's chatting.
Let me go to, obviously, on the pitch. Now, when I was coming through as a player, when I was playing, again, it's and Pep's mentioned this as well. Defense to midfield, I can coach, be in the right positions from goal kicks and whatnot, all of that stuff. Yeah. But when you get to the attack, when I was playing, let the creative players, or when you get to the final third, do what you want. You are paid the most money, which is always, back in the day it probably still is now. Strikers get paid the most money because they have to have the pressure to go and create, do something, go put the ball in the back of the net. Do I think the game now is like that? I hope it still is. But when I look at Arsenal, I look at the way we play. We'd never
don't put us and Spurs in no sentence. We got trophies. Our struggles are different. But go on, Cecil. I don't know. Shy saying fuckery.
Facts. But I think when I watch Arsenal now, and I try and hope that Arsenal are not coached in the final third, but I watch us and say, I never see Arsenal break and counter at speed ever anymore. I see us break and then wait for the players to sit in, and then pass it across the box to try and find an opening. To me, that feels overcoached. Like, you watch Liverpool, you watch Salah, you watch Newcastle, you watch even Nottingham Forest, but you watch Salah, let's just say Liverpool, for instance. They're coached, definitely, because Arne Slott's made tweaks and they're playing better. I think they are. They're at their best. I think this season's what they were last season. But I've seen them mix up their gameplay. They can break teams down and play through them. But most of the time, it's like, get the ball, spray it down to Salah over the top, let him go.
Simple business. Football's complicated, but it's simple at the same time, bro. Just forward and score, man.
Salah's not coached to wait for the defender to get back into, then take.
And they smell blood. We're existing.
Exactly. When they smell blood, he goes either side. You can go down your right side, down your left side, and he will put it in the net. That's not overcoached. We are, I feel at times, I feel like Arteta has got two hands on with everything. And that comes down to even the set pieces, because, all well and good, they've worked, but then, bro, that's still a scoring opportunity. And you're orchestrating that to the finest, like, degree of when this happens, I need you to be here for that. For me, that shouldn't happen. That kills creativity. But that's the way the game is. It's sad for me as a fan watching it. And I get worried. I get annoyed that we didn't see that much last season. We were coached, but we scored such a variety of goals from so many different areas of the pitch. So I feel like, that is an issue. And I don't know how. I hope Arteta changes it or how we overcome it.
Last question before I let you get out of here. And before I say that, Hooks is my guy. But for a man named Hooks, how comes none of these punches land? 1 minute you're doing top red, then you're doing up top Gooner, then you're talking about deforestation. You said we was going to beat West Ham? Lol. You said we was going to beat Forest? Lol.
Deforestation, what's that got to do with anything? I'm back.
Nah, it's a personal joke with us, man. He brings up the YouTube shorts and he just misses, no hits, man. It's cool. He's my guy. Sub him up. But my last question for you, I don't think we're going to win the champs. But one, if we get past Real Madrid or Atletico, again, assuming the difficult task of PSV, if we get to the final and we win it, how do you view Mikel Arteta? And does he need a statue? And is he all forgiven for these last 3 years?
I love that you've asked this, because this is like the way to leave on a positive. Because I did this on a live stream and I got laughed out the building. But if he does do that, what did someone said? I think Lee said, give him a statue opposite Wenger's, literally, at the Emirates. Yeah, man. I mean, if he brings us our first Champions League and the fans, the hot. I mean, I don't even know if the old school fans will get annoyed at me saying it, but I think he would deserve a statue in the circumstances that we're in, the injuries, the beating the Real Madrids of the world. You'd have to get through. Well, whoever beats Liverpool, get through them. In Liverpool, you might even face Liverpool in that run. If he wins our first Champions League with the injuries that we have, bloody hell. Yeah, man. Give it to him.
I mean, Cecil, you could call it fuckery, but a part of me would say, I just said something, but a part of me feels, you know what, if you won the Champions League, this is all ifs and buts. If you somehow get past PSV, which is difficult, if you somehow deal with Real Madrid, I'm not going to lie, we might just next on try something different. I don't know, man. I don't know, man.
If he even gets past any of the Madrids, and we get through PSV, obviously, brother.
So many ifs,
brother. If FC at the moment, but I would take my hat off to him and say fair. But yeah, and like he says, keep cheering though. It's It's going to be
That's what
difficult,
we got.
very difficult. But yeah, that's what you got to hold on to right now. And that's
Champions
like-
League dreams, corner boy nightmares, man. This is the life we live, man. Cecil, I know I'm just keeping an eye on the time. I know you said you're strictly an hour. So
All
as usual, big up yourself, man. Let me let you get out of it. Let people know they can find you. Can't imagine they don't know where, but yeah, man.
You know how it goes, people. Obviously regular on AFTV, but you can see me on many other places. I'm about at the moment. Cecil G on socials, Cecil CCIO_JEE. Check out the Sidemen Charity Match. Next Saturday.
And your show with Turkish and Curtis.
Yeah,
Sure,
sorry,
both of them,
every Tuesday live at 7
Guys not
PM.
even promoting properly.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, the promoting stuff, you know me. It is what it is. But yeah, I'm not really too fussed about it. But guys, if you want to see me, come see me. If you don't, please don't. I don't need any more. But love. But yeah, big up Deluded, man. Always a pleasure. Yeah.
Come on, man. I'll shout you in a couple of weeks. Let's see if anything's changed. As usual, Cecil, big up yourself, man, because I know you have to move a lot of stuff around to be here, man. One love to Never a Foul as well for the raid. Make sure you're subscribing to them as well. Peace.
Always